Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive in, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and, if you enjoy deep dive stories like this, consider tapping the join button to support the work that goes into each episode. Now, settle in, because today's story is about two names that defined a golden moment in Turkish television, Burak Özçivit and Neslihan Atagül. After a stretch of chilly headlines and quiet distance, the pair has reportedly shared a low-key coffee and a meaningful conversation, enough to set the entire fandom buzzing about mended bridges, second chances, and what might come next. From the outside, it's easy to believe famous relationships, whether romantic, friendly, or purely professional, live on red carpets and press tours. But anyone who has worked on a set knows the opposite is true. Bonds form in the unglamorous places. The rehearsal rooms where lines are reworked until they sing, the nighttime shoots where the crew keeps energy alive with tea and jokes, the long car rides between locations. Burak and Neslihan built their connection in precisely those spaces, crafting characters so vividly that audiences still speak about them in the present tense. When a partnership like that cools, the silence feels louder than an argument. For months, whispers of a rift made the rounds. Some pointed to scheduling conflicts that hardened into missed opportunities. Others cited interviews where careful words were flattened into scandal by provocative headlines. A few insisted the distance was simply the natural drift that happens when two careers hit new speeds in different directions. Whatever the recipe, the result was the same: two artists who once moved in parallel began to orbit far apart. Fans, who had invested not only in a series but in the chemistry that carried it, were left to replay old clips and wonder whether the warmth they remembered was gone for good. Then came a small scene, described by onlookers with more tenderness than drama: an early afternoon coffee, a quiet table, no entourage at the edge of the frame. It wasn't a grand reconciliation staged for cameras. If anything, it looked intentionally ordinary: two professionals without a moderator or a spotlight, talking through the kinds of things that rarely fit into a press release. The most striking detail wasn't a flourish or a gesture. It was a pause, that long, generous kind of pause we offer someone when we truly want to hear what they have to say. People who noticed the meeting describe a calm cadence, one speaking, the other listening, the slow nod that signals, "I understand." There were no theatrics, no raised voices, no script. If apologies were offered, and that is what several accounts suggest, they were the quiet kind that matter most, the ones that acknowledge not only a specific moment but the accumulation of smaller moments that came before. In creative partnerships, apologies are not about winning a point, they're about making space. They say, "I value what we built. I regret what I let get in the way. What could have caused the drift in the first place?" Those who have followed the industry know the simplest explanation is often the truest. Success multiplies commitments. One project blends into another. Travel steals weekends. Offers arrive with deadlines that can't be moved. What looks from the outside like disinterest is sometimes just exhaustion disguised as efficiency. Add to that the echo chamber of social media, where a clipped quote becomes a story, and a story becomes a verdict, and even the strongest rapport can feel tested. When that happens, stepping back is human. Stepping forward again takes courage. That is why this understated coffee mattered so much to people who admire both artists. It signaled maturity over melodrama, conversation over conjecture. It also invited a healthier question than the ones that usually flood timelines. Not who was right, or who was wrong, but how did two professionals choose to repair what mattered to them? The answer, if we take this sighting at face value, is, in the most sustainable way, privately, respectfully, and without converting reconciliation into a marketing moment. Of course, the moment the news surfaced, the internet did what the internet always does. Some declared the reunion proof of an imminent joint project. Others joked that the whole thing was a clever PR prelude to an anniversary edition or a surprise sequel. A few fans, protective by nature, urged caution: let them have their piece, don't turn a cup of coffee into a press tour. That last sentiment is worth amplifying. If there is one lesson from the past few years of entertainment coverage, it is that space, the literal and figurative kind, is a gift artists rarely receive. Offering it now is a way of saying the audience has learned alongside its favorites. What might this repaired bridge mean in practical terms? Professionally, it reopens possibilities. Casting directors take note when former partners demonstrate ease with each other. Producers remember that on-screen harmony often rides on off-screen trust. Even brands, ever alert to public sentiment, recognize how goodwill translates into engagement. Yet it would be premature to reduce the meeting to strategy. The ethics of long-term careers ask for something more fundamental, the ability to look across a table at a person who shared your early triumphs and say, "Thank you, I see you, let's not let the noise define the story we know." On a more personal level, repairing a friendship can deepen an artist's work. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing a chapter is not soured by a misunderstanding. The camera cannot fake that kind of ease. Viewers sense it even when they cannot name it. The relaxed shoulders, the unforced timing, the way a small glance does as much as a monologue. If Burak and Neslihan choose to collaborate again someday, their audience will likely feel the difference between a reunion constructed by demand and one made possible by reconciliation. It is also important to keep perspective about what is confirmed and what is conjecture. Confirmed, there was a meeting, it was low profile, it looked warm. Confirmed, the fandom responded with relief and enthusiasm. Unconfirmed, the content of the conversation, any specific apology, and any concrete plan for a new project. That distinction matters. Choosing precision over assumption protects the very thing that made this story refreshing, its sincerity. Let's talk about why these two, in particular, inspire such devotion. Their breakout performances weren't just about beauty and brooding, with both actors, there was a calibrated intelligence at work. Burak brings a grounded charisma that can shift from heroic to vulnerable without announcement. Neslihan has a way of letting thought flicker across her face a half-second before she speaks, giving even the quietest lines a pulse. Together, those qualities created scenes that felt lived rather than performed. The audience didn't merely ship a couple, they respected a craft. That respect is evident in the reactions pouring in now. Rather than the usual tug-of-war of team labels, the dominant note is gratitude. Messages read like letters you might write to a friend after a difficult season. "I'm glad you talked. It's good to see you smiling. No matter what you decide to do next, we're cheering for your peace." It is a small but meaningful shift in fan culture, away from possession and toward support. As for the industry implications, speculation will inevitably continue. If a script arrives that excites them both, and if schedules, rights, and energy align, the thought of seeing them share the screen again is exhilarating. Equally possible is a choice to leave their reunion exactly where it happened, as a personal moment that clears the air and allows each to move forward without the weight of unfinished business. Either outcome is a win, because the heart of the matter is not a headline but a habit, choosing conversation over assumption. There is a final layer to this story worth considering. Long careers in the public eye are marathons, not sprints. They require not only talent and resilience but also a kind of emotional housekeeping, tending to relationships that shaped you, closing the loops you can close, forgiving what can be forgiven. Audiences don't often see that labor. It doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral. And yet, it is the quiet work that sustains the art we love. In that sense, a simple coffee can be an act of stewardship. So where does that leave us today? With a picture that is warmer than it was a week ago, and with a reminder that some of the most important scenes happen off camera. If future announcements come, we will celebrate them. If none arrive, we can still appreciate the grace of two professionals who chose to meet, to listen, and, by all signs, to leave the table lighter than they arrived. Thank you so much for spending time with me and for supporting this kind of thoughtful coverage. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the join button for bonus segments and behind-the-scenes notes about how these stories are researched and prepared. Most importantly, tell me what you think in the comments. What do you value most in reunions like this, new projects, public statements, or quiet understanding? I read everything you write, and your perspective shapes future episodes. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. Goodbye for now.